What is the craziest commonplace book that's ever been made? Well, great question. It's this one by HP Lovecraft. Hey, welcome to ParkNotes. I'm Parker Settecase. I'm a philosophy PhD student. That's a new development. It's kind of fun to say. And I'm an accidental notebook czar. I speak a lot about notebooks and how to use them in order to live a better life, to examine yourself, to think more clearly, to record quotations that inspire you, all sorts of good stuff. I just finished my manuscript for Journal Like a Philosopher, which is a book based on the videos I do right here on ParkNotes. Look for that next year. We're going through revisions right now. Really exciting stuff. But in this video, I want to talk about something that I missed in my book. My book is 16 chapters on different notebook methods and the philosophers who've used them and how you can go about using those methods as well. But one that I missed because it was hard to find space for, and because this is a misnomer, this is not really a commonplace book, is HP Lovecraft's Commonplace book. So I want to share that with you today. We're going to look inside here. This has been illustrated by Michael Bukowski. The illustrations are fantastic. It's a cheap little book. It's really, really cool. But I'm going to explain what this book really is. It's not a commonplace book. That's fine. I'm going to share how you can keep one of your own. I actually do this myself to help inspire me and help me with my creative fiction. That's what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do for a career. H.P. Lovecraft wanted to write and be a weird fiction author. He was one of the pioneers in weird fiction back in the 1930s. He was writing for a bunch of weird tales and a bunch of pulp magazines, which are called pulp magazines because the paper that they used was all pulpy and cheap because they were trying to keep the cost down. So that's what H.P. Lovecraft wanted to do. I don't endorse this dude's politics or anything. He's wild. I haven't read a whole ton of his mythos, his weird fiction, or the Lovecraftian horror. I've read a little bit. Lovecraftian horror. Sorry, this is just a crazy info dump real quick. Lovecraftian horror or cosmic horror has to do with big cosmic entities like Cthulhu who are out there doing their thing and don't really care about us. We're maybe more like insects, and they walk through our universe and step on us because we are so insignificant. It's cosmic horror because the scope is the cosmos, and it's horror because we are meant to feel the weight of our insignificance. It's wild. It's crazy. I always think of Tolkien's rock monsters, his mountain monsters who are having a stone fight, throwing boulders at each other while all the dwarves and Bilbo are running through, trying not to get stepped on. That, but at a cosmic level. Anyways, that's what H.P. Lovecraft wanted to do with his life, but maybe you're not sure what to do with yours. If you are looking for guidance, for career opportunities, for the best place to put your efforts, then you need to check out 80,000 Hours. 80,000 Hours is a nonprofit that seeks to help people find jobs that work towards solving the world's most pressing problems. They've written a ridiculously in-depth career guide to help you find a rewarding and impactful career in this age of AI. So if you're like me, then maybe you've taken one of those career guides in high school or maybe even early college, which ask you a bunch of questions that are meant to help you figure out what's the best path for you, but it ends up just leaving you feeling more confused than ever. I mean, that is literally my story. I ended up on a completely wrong career path, and I only ended up finding philosophy by accident. But you don't have to take a winding, circuitous path to finding your career thanks to 80,000 Hours. The name comes from the number of hours in an average career. 40 hours a week, 50 weeks in a year for 40 years. That is a lot of time, and it means that your career is probably your best chance at making a real impact on this planet. So if you care about what the evidence actually says about having a fulfilling and impactful career and want real advice that goes beyond just empty cliches like follow your passion, then 80,000 Hours can help. Their revised and updated career guide aims to help you learn about what makes for a high-impact career, get new ideas for impactful paths, make a new plan based on what you've learned, and put it into action. So just click the link in my description or in the pinned comment to this video and get your revised and updated edition of their career guide. So big thanks to 80,000 Hours for sponsoring this video. Okay, so let's jump back in with H.P. Lovecraft's Commonplace book. And let me just say really quick, It's not a commonplace book. A commonplace book is a place for quotations. I know that people use that word to mean like a catch-all, but a catch-all is a catch-all. A catch-all, I have one right here, is for everything. This is where I put my dates. These are reminders and memos and quotations. Literally anything I want to remember, I put it in my catch-all. This is not a commonplace book. You can call it that if you want, but historically, a commonplace book has been a place for quotations. It's where authors or thinkers or readers put quotes that are impactful for them, or maybe they hate. Whatever the case, they want to remember. Sometimes you put it in a commonplace book, mostly a notebook. You put them in there to comment on them. I would call that like a manuscript commonplace book. But commonplace books are for collecting quotations from others. It's a type of journal. But what HP Lovecraft has going on here, which you'll see in a moment, this is a collection of his wild story ideas. This is a catch-all for his imaginative fiction. This is a catch-all for story ideas. That's what this book is, and it's miscalled. It's a misnomer. It's not a commonplace book. It's a creative catch-all. It's a fiction idea catch-all, something like that. It's a catch-all for all these wild ideas, and that's exactly what they are. There's only enough detail in here, as you'll see, to remind H.P. Lovecraft of the story he had in mind at the spur of a moment. So that's what I do sometimes with my catch-all, but I have my own creative idea catch-all. This is for my short stories. I have a science fiction magazine called Sages, Mages, and Wisdom Machines, and I have one of my issues right here. This is issue number 2. It's a special edition, so there's a different cover. But I like to write science fiction and fantasy. I like to write those with philosophical ideas in mind. So I have a notebook where I put the ideas that I want to work with. Not all of these are good, but I put a sketch in here, a sketch of an idea in order to help me refresh myself when it's time to write. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let me give you an overhead shot of what H.P. Lovecraft's commonplace book, his good idea, story inspiration, catch-all notebook looks like with the illustrations from Michael Bukowski. Okay, so here we go. Here's a closer look at the commonplace book, the good idea catch-all, with just this fantastic illustration on the cover here. Again, Michael Bukowski. I love these. I think he really captures the absolute weirdness of H.P. Lovecraft's ideas. I believe both of Lovecraft's parents ended up in a sanatorium, which I don't know. I don't want to say anything like harsh or mean here. That may be why he has such weird ideas, maybe from interacting with his parents. Maybe it's genetic and he experienced that, or maybe they experienced the same kind of things growing up in New England. I'm not sure, but I know that H.P. Lovecraft had some wild ideas, and it's really fun to see them illustrated here. So this would be just a page in this notebook that was called the Commonplace Book. Whether that was called a Commonplace Book by Lovecraft or someone else, I'm not sure. I sort of remember that it was someone else, one of his, someone who inherited his estate called it that, but it could be, I could be mistaken on that. Doesn't really matter, whole ton. But here's an entry that he would have written. Demophon, shivered when the sun shone on him, lover of darkness and ignorance. And so Michael Bukowski just has Demophon. It sounds like a Greek name, so he makes him into like a dead, an undead Greek zombie. There is the Trojan horse, so that's pretty fun. It's not actually the Trojan horse, right? It's the Greeks who were hiding in the horse that was delivered to Troy. Anyways, that's that. So he doesn't illustrate each and every one. Here are a bunch of these ideas. There's a line depicting that, demarcating one idea from the next. But he's just using this as a dump. Here is where I'm putting my best ideas. I'm going to come back to these later. I don't need to fully flesh these out because it's my notebook. I understand what's going to go in here. So here's a typical, really terse entry. Odd nocturnal ritual, period. Beasts, dance, and march to music. Music. Spelled wrong. Which maybe that was a spelling, an alternative spelling back in the day, but you're going to find a lot of misspellings in my Commonplace book. You'll also see that he's illustrated some corrections and stuff like that as well. But look at how weird and crazy this is. I love it. Bridge and slimy. Is that maybe fungi? The camel. Black water. So it's kind of like this camel-looking, weird, goofy, just nightmarish creature. So I love this. This is what's going on in the mind of HP Lovecraft as he's thinking these are good ideas. And I mean, he's a good author. He really made an impact on weird fiction, cosmic horror. He pretty much invented, I think. Yeah. So not all these are great ideas, but these are ideas that he thought were good enough to write down in his catch-all and potentially work on later. So I want you to see some of these really fantastic illustrations. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to grab this from one of my affiliate links. So cool, so weird, so crazy. Inhabitant of another world, face masked perhaps by human skin or surgically altered to human shapen, but body alien beneath, robes having reached Earth tries to mix with mankind, hideous revelation. So this looks like a Kakajin from the Book of the New Sun, and I know a lot of fiction authors have read this Commonplace book. It's been published with H.P. Lovecraft stuff in the past, and so maybe Gene Wolfe had this in mind when he's making the Kakajins for Book of the New Sun. If you don't know what that is, come join my book club on Parker's Ponderings. We're going to read the Book of the New Sun. Is it 3, 4 books? There's 2 volumes that I've read. It's a collection, in 2 volumes. I think there's 4 books. We're going to read those in December of this year. So come check that out. But if you know anything about the book, I mean, this is what the Kakajins are like. It's this weird, inhuman thing. I think it turns out that this is also mask for them. Masks within masks. There's not too many spoilers. If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's all good. But you will, so come read it with us. I love this. I love this way of doing things. You don't always have to fully flesh out your ideas. Your notebook, this initially would have been a notebook, is for you. So you just have to put enough detail to help you remember. Sometimes we overestimate the amount of detail we need, or we underestimate. And we're like, man, what the heck was I talking about at 2 a.m. when I tried to write down my dream? So you'll get better at knowing yourself and knowing how much you need to write down in order to understand it. I'm still trying to figure that out. I tend to write more than I need to, but that's because I don't trust myself a whole ton. But look at how sick this is. I love this so much. Oh, this one's really cool. Strange well in Arkham County. Water gives out or was never struck. Hole kept tightly covered by a stone ever since dug. No bottom. Shunned and feared what lay beneath. Either unholy temple or other very ancient thing or great cave world. So you can see he's like, there's some kind of idea here. It's a well. What does the well lead to? Here's a couple options. I will discover that later. I'll figure that out later. For now, it's enough to just write down several options. So I think you should do this. If you're into writing at all, then you should keep your own book of good ideas or weird ideas or the seeds of short stories. You should keep your own catch-all for your creative ideas. You may not be as wild as H.P. Lovecraft or as Michael Bukowski has illustrated his jottings. That's okay. You don't have to be as weird. Be you. Distant tower. Oh, man, that's such a good tower. Distant tower. Visible from hillside window. Bats cluster. Thickle. About it at night. Observer fascinated. One night wakes to find self on unknown black circular staircase in tower. Hideous goal. So again, I mean, it's not fully fleshed out. It's just enough for you to get it. Ugh, this one's super cool. I love this idea of like you're waking up on a train or you're looking out the window and you're in some ultra-dimensional world. Things have changed. That's the cosmic horror. That's that really unsettling. Reality is not as safe as we think, and one step can lead us into a completely different realm. That's scary, and that's cool. So there is H.P. Lovecraft's Commonplace book. It is a catch-all for ideas, for writing short stories, for writing weird fiction. I don't write weird fiction all that much. I write philosophical fiction. I write science fiction and fantasy with theological themes and philosophical themes. But I do the same thing here. So this is just going to be enough of a story in order for me to come back later and write it. Cube World turned into Block World. That is a novel that I'm working on. So sometimes I'll migrate my ideas back out of this notebook. But it all starts here. I just write it down, and some of these ideas are really, really bad. And some of them are cool, I think, at least. Cool enough to work on them. And then when I'm finished, I will usually put a check mark. So when I'm looking back through for good ideas, when it's time to write, I know, don't bother with this one. You already wrote that. President AI, I really want to write this one. I'm excited for it. So I don't do all the writing in here. I have another notebook where I'll take an idea and maybe write some more, especially if I hit a roadblock or, like a writing block. Then while I'm typing, I will stop typing and I'll go back to handwrite a little bit of the story in order to help myself get unstuck. Ground functional necromancy. I'm really excited about this one. Ground functionalism is this idea that really what we are is a set of inputs, internal states, and outputs. So computers can have minds. We're really just meat computers. Computationalism, some people say, is the same thing as functionalism, but it's basically like you're a program in process. I think they're actually two separate things. That's fine. But if all you are is just a set of states and inputs and outputs, then I like this idea that you can be like a necromancer by just configuring matter in a certain way, and then like my personality will jump back out, and then you unconfigure it, you mix up the sand, and then you go on your way, but maybe you want to talk to me again, and you reconfigure it. It's goofy, but science fiction and fantasy is goofy. So there is a lot in here. These are my crazy, crazy ideas. The Sage of the Fallen Moon, that's one that I finished and completed. I'm not trying to make myself anything special. Yeah, I want to write some cosmic horror as well. I'm not trying to make myself anything special. I'm not the man. I'm not like a super talented science fiction author. I'm just a dude who likes to write and to think. And here's something that I do. And I didn't know that HP Lovecraft also did that. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If you're into writing, check this out. If you're not, but you have a bunch of cool ideas, maybe consider making a catch-all notebook for your cool ideas. Different than a Commonplace book because you are not collecting quotations from others. You are collecting your own ideas. So that's that. I hope this helped you. If you're a notehead, then I'm sure you love this anyways because that's how it goes. If you guys like this video, leave me a like and a comment, and I will catch you guys next time.